emodels.co.uk. Make something awesome.
Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and this is part 2 of my build for emodels.co.uk, the Tamiya Honda Africa Twin motorcycle, which I won from on their Monday night live stream. And this is part 2, which is the engine, building and painting, ready for putting into the rest of the bike when it gets built. I'll leave you to it, I hope you enjoy it. Now this is a glossy picture with all the bits of the bike and things on it. Show you a couple of CG images of the engine. And on the back there is also a couple of shots of what I'm pretty sure is a real bike, showing the engine. Now obviously I'll be doing what it says in the instructions, being a complete noob at this. What I have done is nipped through some of the instructions and copied across some of the paint colours that it's got on other pages to say flicking backwards and forwards. So there's 6 parts to this engine build, and then it obviously goes on to the framework. So my plan for this video is to get the engine painted and built. Now obviously it gives you the paint codes in Tamiya paint colours, which I do have many of, but I'll also be using some other brands of paint in different colours, save having to go out and buy a complete set of Tamiya paints. So there's not much to say really. Most of this is going to be gloss aluminium, but I say it's going to be aluminium basically. Chrome silver on a couple of bits, highlighting the tops of nuts and things by the looks of it, which trouble with this, I don't know what bit I'm looking at and what bit I'm looking at, so obviously it's different coloured with the nuts being a different colour as well, so I'll be following the instructions as closely as I can. What I intend to do is basically get the parts that I need for 2 or 3 sections, get them primed. All of this is going to be a dark colour, so I'm going to be priming them all in black, I think, and then as I need bits painting them. I'm going to have a look through and see. There's not a lot of different parts in this, so we've got say 2, 4, 5 in that first step, and then another couple of big bits on there, fairly large parts, most of it. So what I'll probably end up doing is getting all of the parts I need for the entire engine assembly. Some of the pipe needs cutting down to particular lengths as well, which obviously I need to do. So I think I'm going to get everything separated, denubbed and primed, and then go through the instructions one step at a time, getting things painted into the right colours and then assembled. A couple of smaller bits on there that do need putting on, but again, not a problem. There was no screws needed on this. The next bit's got a couple of nuts on there, sorry, bits you can't see, but yeah, this is all just normal model making by the looks of it. So I'll get all the parts cut up and see just how many and what we're dealing with, and then decide what's going to happen. So see you in a moment. Right, I've got all of the engine pieces cut off, apart from some fairly small bits that are like bolts and things for the top, and a couple of like screw caps for oil or whatever. Most of it is pretty straightforward. Now these bits, there's basically 4 bits to the top of this engine that need to go together. That way around, there we go. They just, obviously I haven't glued anything as yet, but I'm thinking as they goes like that basically, then that goes on the top, then that actually is again several pieces that I've just pushed together. That's the bottom half of that somehow. Then you've got another bit, the cylinder block, that again just goes together. Apart from that cover, which is conveniently in a different colour already, all of this is actually going to be the same colour. So what I'm thinking, this bit actually goes onto the top there as well. I'm thinking I'm going to get these assembled as to like a sub-assembly, so I'll glue all of that together, glue all of that together, glue all of that together, and then prime and paint the sections and then get them put together. Apart from a couple of little bits, where can I show you? All of that's the same, all of that's the same. There's a couple of bits that are like the tops of screws and things that are a different colour, but they can be done afterwards. So what I'm going to do is get these together. Now I've mixed it all up just to make it more challenging for myself. Right, so I've got those two on there, that's the top for that and that's the back for that, so let's get these out of the way. I'll do this one now and then obviously I can do the rest. You don't need to see everything being glued together. So using some extra thin, pretty much just sticking into the locating holes and around the edge where it's going to sit, and then sliding that in place. I did debate leaving this without painting because it's obviously going to be pretty much this colour. This is the bit that's all gloss aluminium they call it, but thinking it through, it's going to be much better to get it all painted. So I'll get this together and then so I'll prime it all in black and then get it all coloured in aluminium. Where's this going to sit? Just around the edge here, all across the bottom there, across there. I'll be adding some more glue to the outside when it's done anyway. There we go, that's that in there. Sorry, just noticed that was off camera. A couple of little bits that might need some additional gluing, but all of this is, as I say, sort of a sub-assembly anyway. So it's not terribly important that it puts up with any hard wearing or anything like that. It's just got to hold together while it's being done. Now I could obviously stick this to the bottom and everything, but having it as separate pieces does make it easier to paint, because obviously it gives me somewhere convenient that I can hold it while I'm painting. So this is obviously all the inside, so I can add the glue without worrying too much about how much or where it's going. Obviously it's all going to be painted anyway. So that's the first step, except there's these bits actually go onto the top there, but they have to be a different colour. The 11, yeah, these and a few of the bolt bits on it are chrome silver instead of the aluminium, so I'll leave those separate and obviously do the other bits afterwards. But that's the first bit, so I've started. Right, I'll get the rest of these sub-assemblies glued together and then show you what I've got before I get in and do some painting. Well, that's the sub-assemblies done, and I've just clipped it all together to give an idea as to the size of the finished item. It's going to be pretty big. As I say, there's most of it is going to have to be the same colour, so I'll be doing most of it in one hit. The pipe there needs to be done in a couple of different colours anyway. Pretty much all of that is going to be one colour, but obviously it's difficult to hold like that, so I'll be taking the sides off, the bottom off and the top off. So pretty much that, as well as a couple of these other little bits, I need to prime and paint and get done, and then paint it back to be chrome again. So I'll get that done, and that'll be the next thing you see. That's all the primer done. I've been using the UMP black primer, covered everything. I do quite like black primer, it makes everything look really nice, it brings out all the detail. Right, I need to leave all of this to dry and then separate what I need to paint in whatever colours. So most of it's going to be aluminium, and then we'll go from there. Just wanted to show you the primed stage. So yeah, I'm happy with that. It's mostly dry already, but I'll leave it overnight just to make sure. Then, as I say, get some colours on it. See you soon. Now that's all the main bits airbrushed. All come out very nice, a mixture of different colours in there, with bronze, aluminium, chrome, gunmetal on the bit of the back there, black, flat black, matte black, metallic black, bits all over the place. There's still some highlighting to do on some bits and some detail work. I think the middle piece of this has to be black, if I remember correctly, and all of the, or many of the little screw holes, tops of screws on these need painting in. I'm gonna get that done now, so I'll get set up ready for the first colour. I'll film a little bit of that and then I'll get on and do the rest of it. Right, looking at the instructions, all of these bits have got little bits that need to be highlighted in chrome. So they're only very, very tiny little bits, so I won't be using an airbrush on. What I will be using is my wet palette. Now, with the wet palette, you need to shake up the paint just as you would normally, and then basically you put just a small dot or two in the palette, and then you can use that basically for hours. You don't need to worry about it drying out, although with the metallic paints it's not quite as clear cut. Right, so first up I've got to do, look at the instructions down here as well. Basically these two, get it the right way around, that way, yep. These two big bolts here just need to be painted in chrome instead of aluminium. I'm not sure how much difference it's actually going to make, but we're nothing if we're not interested in the details, are we? So I'm just going to be painting the top and then the edges, which unfortunately I'll try and let you see, but yeah, at the moment it doesn't look any different. Also the top on this has got, for some reason, the central one of these three is done the same. So there we go. Let's get that covered and around the edge. I've no idea why the middle one is different to the others, but that's what the instructions say. So that's what I'll do. I have got the other two bits that get stuck onto here already done in chrome, so I'll need to remove some of the paint to stick that down. Right, next bit, this one. On that, it's the three central bolts on there. This one being slightly different, it's actually a gunmetal which was then given a clear, not a gloss coat, just a clear paint coat from Tamiya's clear paint. So, sorry, I don't know if you can see any of that. So this is obviously going to look different, but general chrome over aluminium doesn't even look noticeable, but that's that one. Once I've done all of these bits, I'll obviously be able to then get it all stuck together. There's one other black piece that needs a couple of decals on it. So does the big brassy coloured bit. This one just needs, again, the 2 bolts painted. Obviously on black it shows up very well. I'll leave these to dry and then go back and do a bit of highlighting on the edges and things, just to make sure I've got them all shown up. But obviously you're only going to be able to see it from the top there anyway, so it's pretty much going to be okay. Right, I'll get the rest of these little bits done and then show you it finished and probably all stuck together. Right, I have some sticking to do. What we've got are the 2 separate covers that need to go, one here and one here. Now, because I've already painted this and glue doesn't really like sticking to surfaces that are covered in paint, I'm just scratching away some of the paint. Actually, I'm going to use my older knife that's not quite so sharp instead of trying to dig into the plastic. Right, yeah, that's better. Just scratching away some of the paint where I need it to stick. That just gives me a better plastic contact. The bottom of the 2 screw caps or bolts haven't been painted at all because they've been stuck in blue tack while I've been spraying. So that gives me a bit of contact there. What I'm going to do is block everything that you can't see what I'm doing. Just pull that off from there. Get myself my pair of tweezers. I'm going to pick that up. Put some glue on the bottom there. And very badly locate it in place. Just in the middle there. And then do the same on the other one. Not entirely certain why these are a separate piece, but there we go. So get that in the right-ish place and then get it located on there. 2 more bits done. Get rid of that now. Right, so I painted the chrome bits. There was a couple of bolts on there that you can't see any difference in between the chrome and the aluminium, but well, there you go. That's already been put on top. The bottom half I have here that we've already assembled, so that needs to be stuck to there. Now again, the bottom half of this I haven't painted, so I don't need to worry too much about that. I do need to worry about where it's actually going to attach. There are a few mounting holes on this bit and posts on the other, so I'm going to get those covered, as well as some of the edge piece that I know is going to make contact. And then get that located on there. The other side located in there as well. Nearly. There we go. Basically just hold that for a couple of seconds, make sure that's set, and then I can use a little bit more extra thin where I can get to the edges, bits that are going to be covered anyway as well, just to get that in there. And that's the engine starting to come together. Right, next up we've got the cylinder block, which has the two bits I can't find. There they are. These two bits need to go onto one side of this. Just looking at the instructions down here to see which side. That's that way round, so they go on here. Again, it's the same story. They attach with little pins on the backs of these into little dimples on the backs of these, so just need to clear out some of that to give the glue somewhere to set. And again, from these, just scrape away to get to the plastic in a few places. The extra thin actually takes away some of the paint as well. If you get it on it, it causes a reaction that stops it from binding and pulls it away, so you have to be careful not to get it everywhere. But that's about that. And then making sure it's lining up, that's where it's got to go. Actually, there's a big area around there that's going to be glued as well, so let's get rid of some of that and some of that in there as well. Not that it's a load bearing piece or anything that's going to have any pressure on it at all, but the more we get to stick, the better it'll be. So we'll get that lined up on there. Again, just give it a couple of seconds. That's a bind. Do the other one the same. On there. I've got no idea if anything's going to be attached to this and some sort of exhaust or something, but we'll worry about that down the line. Then we have the top to go on there, which I've got here, which again I've painted the tops in, which show up a slightly different colour on this, being on the gunmetal. Again, that goes onto there. I didn't paint the underside of that, but the top of that has got some overspill over it, so I need to just make sure I can get to the edge there. Get rid of some of that. Not a lot on there, I was a bit more careful. Right, let's get this on here, it's going to be the easiest way. There's a ridge there that locks up against, inside here, a post there, just a couple of bits here and there that hold it in place. That's it, starting to come together. That attaches onto there. Again, I'll glue that in a moment and make sure that's all set first. Right, I'll get some more done. There's a little bit more painting I've got to do on a couple of other bits as well. Nearly done. Right, I've got most of it built together. Looking good. I'm happy with it. Lots of little details of the changes in the colours. Right, I've got two more bits to put on, or three actually. One just goes about there by the looks of it. Yep, there's 2 pins there and 2 pegs there. Let's get some glue on those. Get that covering that. Nice. And one more in the same NATO black around the other side. Which way? That way round. Goes over a couple of the bits there. Those 2, I think. Yeah. I'll cover those bits there. And it's only those that get the glue. So let's get some glue next to those. There we go. Alright, one more piece needs to be attached, which is this little black cover, and that goes on here. Simply like that, but there's a couple of decals to put on that, which I'm going to do on first. There's also one other decal that goes on the outside here, but I figured I could do that once it was on there anyway. So I'm going to grab the decals, get my glue out of the way for now, grab the decals, see what I've got to put on there, get them cut out, and then we'll put them on. Right, the decals I need for this are the little square black one there, which goes just on the edge, the little round white one which goes on the tip of the black blob, and this long white one which goes around it. So what I'm going to do is, with a knife, cut them off. I'm going to cut obviously larger than the decal themselves. With these obviously I know which one's which, so it's not a problem to get them all done. Not once. Get that down there. Sorry, I'm aware you can't actually see what I'm cutting down on the mat down here, but basically it's just cutting away. Cutting around the decal, so I've got plenty of card and paper around the back of the decal. Those 2 and one more, 33 is that little number there. Let's get that one cut off. Right, that's the 3 decals I need for the engine bit, so I'm going to get the other decals out of the way for now. I don't need to worry about those. Now, with decals, I'm sure most of you have done decals before. Basically, I've got a pot of water, which is just there. If you put the decal in it and then pull it back out, it normally takes just a few seconds for it to sort of loosen and get moist. Now I'm just going to see, before I put this one on, which way round it's got to go. There you go. Right, so I'm just holding that in the water for a few seconds, then shaking it off. Now the decal itself, the paper is holding it all in place. The water sort of frees it from the paper, and then in a moment that will start to move just a little bit. Then we can get that off, get rid of the paper, and put that where I need it to be. I did make sure, looking at the picture, which way round it has to be. So although it's not terribly big, you can still see what it is. Just get that in the right place, and then with some micro set, which is a decal solution. It gives you a bit more time to move them around if you need to, and also acts as a sort of binding agent. And we'll just hold that, get that. If there's any lumps or anything on the thing that you're putting the decal on, it makes the decal sort of soften and spread into them a little bit more. Right, that was that one. I've got two more to do. The wrappy round one is going to be the more challenging one of them all. So, of course, I'll leave that one till last, because where's the fun of doing it too soon? Right, let me just move the camera down a bit so you can see what I'm doing down here. Now I'm doing this bit. I've got the thing that I need the decal on, the decal itself, which has been in the water but is not moving. Soak it a little bit longer. Not pushing hard, because obviously you don't want to damage the decal itself, but equally, there we go, that's starting to move. Don't know if that's coming out on camera. The white on the blue background isn't the best of things. Get that on there. Now there's nowhere to give any indication of the centre on that, so I'm just rotating and turning it just to see if that's about in the middle, and it looks to be about in the middle. Right, then for the fun one. Let's get the paper properly covered. Nice and moist. There we go. Right, I can't make out which way round it has to go on this one, so it's going to be mounted to the engine, so I think we'll have the writing that way so you can actually read it when you're looking at it rather than being the other way around. That makes sense to me. Being a larger decal, it's going to take a little while longer for it to move. There we go, a little bit of movement there. Now what I'm going to do with this one is hopefully slide off the bottom. There we go. And then roll that round. Get that in the right place. So while it's wet you can still move it, and I'm going to add some of the micro set in a moment. That's not right, that needs to be higher in the middle. It wasn't lining up quite right on the ends there. Right, let's see. Let's see how that looks. These are actually quite thick decals, so it gives me a bit more comfort in trying to move it around, knowing it's unlikely that I'm just going to go straight through it. Right, I'm going to get some micro set on there. And of course, because I've been holding it, I've pulled off the other one from the other side. So let's get that on there first. Off of my finger. And again, into the right place. And this time, being careful not to hold that. So what I'm going to do is go back to how I was holding it before while I was painting it, with a bit of blue tack in it and on a cocktail stick. Gives me somewhere to hold it without having to worry about it. Now I'm just going to give this a covering of microset to give me a bit more manoeuvrability of it. Of course. Right. I think I'll use that top edge piece as a flat. Maybe pushing against the cocktail stick isn't the best thing I could do. Make sure everything's still where it was. Right. Welcome to model making with Chris, where everything goes wrong. I knew this kit wasn't going to be fun. It's looking good though. I'm happy with the way it's coming together. Right, there we go. Let's get that pushed up to that edge a little bit. Now, considering the scale of things that I'm normally building, this little bit is actually not that little, so it shouldn't be a problem for me. And obviously this bit you're not going to be able to see when it's built anyway, or not properly. Right, I think that's just about there. So I'm just going to give it another run over with the microset just to make sure there's no lumps and bumps in there. That's just about where I want it to be. Move that a little bit more. Yep, that's that. So I'll let that set and then get that last bit stuck in place, and that will be the engine completed. Except for the rubber hoses. Still got the rubber hoses to do. So while that's setting, I'll get the rubber hoses cut up and sort that. Back in a moment. Right, I've put the stickers on this bit. I've also put some of the red microsol. I always get them two mixed up. The red one, microsol, the one that sets in solution for decals. I've never understood why they're called that way, but anyway, that one attaches it firmly and makes sure it's properly layered in. Now, for this bit, I need the vinyl tubing thin. I need 4 different lengths of it. Now, it comes with 2. One's obviously thinner than the other, so I'm going to use the thin one. I'm going to take some out. It's obviously one long tube of this, so I'm going to cut the tape off. I don't know if I'll be using any more of this down the line or not, so right, I need 42mm, 23mm, 19mm and 24mm. No questions afterwards, but my cutting mat nicely has millimeters marked out on it. So 42, 4.2 centimeters. So if I lay that down on there and cut here, that's 42 millimeters. Then I need 23. This is going to be loads. 24, 23. I'll put them in the right order so I know which one I'm dealing with. 19. And 24. I'm assuming this is going to be used somewhere else as well, because otherwise they've given me like 10 times too much. So I'll put those back away for whatever next time. Right, now these you can just about see on here go onto the various different plugs and posts on here. A goes onto that one that's tucked around the back there, and that's the long one. These are going to be quite a tight fit, so I don't think I need to glue them at all. There we go, that's that one on there. B goes onto the one on the left. C on the one on the right. And finally D goes on to the last one over here. You have to put that down so I can support the other side of it. There we go. No idea where the other ends of those are going to go, but we'll figure that out down the line. Right, so I've just got this to attach onto there. It doesn't say which way round, there's no indication of any particular way round, so I'm going to put it pretty much randomly, because I figure it's just a cap that would be rotated, screwed on or not, so it wouldn't end up in any particular place. So I'm going to have it there. Right, and that is that. That's the completed engine block. I'm happy with that. It's easier than I thought it was going to be, but it's certainly bigger than I thought it was going to be as well. Right, I'm going to put that aside, and then see the next bit is going to be the frame. I don't know if the engine goes into that. Yeah, the engine goes into that at a later, in a few parts. This is the one that's going to be great fun. Let me move that out of the way. With actual screws and bolts and things. So that will be the next part. This will finish this part of the episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've sort of enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, but yeah. Right, as I say, thanks for watching. The next part will be up at some point. Come back and enjoy it. I think I might have a little break and do something tiny before I get into the frame part. This is just too big for me. I need to get back to teeny tiny things. So my next video will probably be a short one, but we'll see. Thanks for watching.